So if they're on social media, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? I know you guys know what we do. We're trying to get your attention because we're live here on a couple of platforms. Yeah, thank you, Jodie. Raise it up, raise the roof, raise the roof. Anyway, hey everybody. So Attilio here. I got Jodie from Packard Mortgage, and we are going to be giving you some quick updates on what you need to know if you're a buyer, seller, what's going on with mortgages, and anything else that Jodie wants to talk today. We know Jodie as the mortgage genius. She's the mortgage company that we highly recommend for people that are refinancing or doing new purchases. You got the website there at the bottom and the phone number. Jodie, welcome to our live stream on Friday. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, we always like to, what we know on these platforms and stuff like that is just hit people with questions. What is a question that you see being asked quite often with what you do?
One of the most common questions is, well, can you take a look at everything, all the information I give you, and then just give me an idea before reviewing credit?
Gotcha.
And yeah, and I totally get it, because credit is your credit report, your credit score is extremely important. And when people pull your credit, it could bring your score down. And so a lot of people are like, well, can you do as much work as possible without reviewing credit, and we'll see if we're even in the ballpark of qualifying. And so I get it, and it's not a strategy that I recommend, because so much of what we do in terms of what you qualify for, the different loan programs that will work for you, depend on your credit score, and not just your credit score, but depend on your debt to income ratio. So all of that is going to appear on your credit report when we have access to it. I just feel like getting your credit reviewed is the number one most important thing when you're trying to accurately educate yourself on what you can qualify for. And I know it's scary, but even if, let's say I pull it and you're not quite ready, then the great news, the best takeaway from not being ready now is we look at your credit report and your score, and we tell you, okay, if you do this, and this, if you pay down these 3 credit cards to at least this much, we'll give you the thresholds, then this is what your score will increase to. And that is super valuable information.
So yeah, so it's like a way. Here's what people are constantly weighing back and forth. Do I have an inquiry for pulling my credit to figure out what I would qualify for? But what you're saying is there's greater benefits by knowing what you need to do to get your credit score up by pulling your credit.
Yeah. And we've had so many times when people have thought that they were pre-approved.
Yeah.
But the previous lender that they were talking with didn't review their credit. Oh. So I have to tell them, you're not pre-approved. If you're just telling me, okay, my credit score is 710 and I have no debt and this is how much I make, I can roughly tell you a qualification. You are not pre-approved in that notion. And so that's where people have been like, well, what do you mean I'm not pre-approved? And it gets, it's frustrating because the other lender said that they were. And I say, well, if they didn't review your credit 100%, period, you are not pre-approved. You need to have had your credit pulled in order to be pre-approved.
I think that, analogies, I think that's, Tony Robbins talks about it. You got to speak in terms that people understand and use that to communicate what you're trying, a concept that they don't understand. So it's kind of like, how you get those 2 friends? You get the one friend, he coming to the party, right? And you get the other friend coming to the party. And you're like, Joey, where you at? Oh, I'm close. And then you call your other friend like, hey, Henry, where you at? Oh, I'm close. Joey's version of close is he's still sitting at home because he's a big time procrastinator and he hasn't even left his house. You live Hawaii Kai and he's Haleiwa. Henry is close is like, I'm in the car and I'm literally a couple turns away from your house. That's you. You're the one that's a couple turns away from their house, and the other lender is the one Eva never even leave the house and said, "I'm close." So
Yes.
that's what people got to understand. Here's the input that I want to put on the other side of the coin of what Jodie is trying to tell you. We as realtors, I will tell you right now, it is a complete waste of time for you to even go in your pajamas and go on the internet and start looking at homes without one pre-approval. Because sellers are not wanting your hocoles coming through the front door unless you're pre-approved. They're not wanting to confirm showings. And Jodie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you're hearing it from other agents, but here's been our experience. When you go look at a home in the morning, you better be ready to write an offer that day, or it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. And you cannot call, we cannot go like look at the home in the morning and then go blow up Jodie's phone in the afternoon, give me the pre-approval. How's that work? Right?
Yeah, so that's the other, that's, you know, that's the other thing that gets difficult, because we always talk about doing all the heavy lifting up front, and we want to make sure that you don't lose out when you do find that property that you want to submit the offer on. And if you're in Idaho, then you can go see a house, take your time, go see it again, talk to your lender, talk to your family members, take a week, and then decide you want to submit the offer. Yeah. Here in our market, you just can't do that. And we're trying to prevent that, but it's hard because people are like, they wonder if it's a sales pitch versus is that really the case? And that is really the case. And so what we're telling people is we want you to be ready.
Yeah. And this is what I tell people. This is not a sales pitch. And you know why? Because I'm instructing my team and my agents on our team. We cannot, we are not doing a service to our clients by working with them and getting all their hopes up and sending them stuff even via email and telling them to go open a house when they're not pre-approved. I'm sorry, but you know, the old adage, if it's a good decision today, it's a good decision tomorrow. You know what? In this market, if it's a good decision today, tomorrow there is no decision because the house is gone. I mean, that's just the situation we're in. There is a report from the Honolulu Board of Realtors. We have the lowest inventory for single-family homes right now in the history of homes being listed for sale. Saw another interesting report. There are more licensed realtors in the United States than homes for sale. So you're more likely to go do a sleepover, to have a better opportunity to go do a sleepover at your agent's home than to have them take you to go buy a home, because there's more agents than there are homes for sale. Okay, interest rates. Everybody's like, what's going on with interest rates? What's happening with interest rates?
So they are definitely upward trending. They're definitely upward trending. There have been all indicators with the 10-year bond that is heavily a leading indicator of how mortgage interest rates are going to move, rising. So not only that, but with the vaccine percentages increasing and the second stimulus package coming through, all of these aspects have led to the rates steadily rising. So where you may have been quoted, you know, perhaps as a conventional, you may have been pre-approved with the initial numbers of, let's just say, a 2.5 or a 2.625. And if you haven't had the lucky occurrence of getting an accepted offer and being able to lock in, then you are not locked in, and the prevailing market rate is going to be your new interest rate. And so conventionally, we're hovering around in the 2.75 to 2.99 range, depending on your credit score, depending on if it's a single family home or a condo townhouse, and depending on how much down you're doing. But that's the range. Whereas maybe a month ago, it was, 2.5, 2.75. Now we're 2.75, 2.99, hovering into the low threes, which is still amazing. And so I always love when I talk to a buyer that's like, wow, I'll give them the quote, and and they'll say those are amazing interest rates, and they are amazing interest rates. They're just higher than a month and 2 months ago where you would have been at 2.5.
Another question here. I'm getting my banners here going so I can be all fancy schmancy. Loan locks. What are your thoughts on loan lock? Well, what is a loan lock, and what's your advice regarding them?
Yes. So you are able, and this is kind of as because what we do with our buyers is we provide a quote and an estimate, a comprehensive breakdown for any and all properties of interest, regardless of if you're committed and you're going to submit an offer, even if it's just a kind of like this property. We feel it's very important for you to actually see the numbers and have muscle memory. Like, okay, so the house on Hamumu is going to be 2,800 a month. You know, the house on Alohi is going to be 2,900 a month, and be able to make those types of comparisons. However, on the bottom of every single email that we send out that has the estimates, there is a big bold that says, as a reminder, you are able to lock in as soon as you have a fully accepted offer. So I'll quote you, I may give you an updated quote the day that you decide to submit the offer. That's not your lock. You're not locked in. You cannot lock in until we know that your offer has been accepted. And so one of the benefits of working closely with the agents that we work with, specifically, this happened last week, where Mitzi, one of your buyer's agents, gave me a call, and she said, hey, we have a verbal acceptance, and the fully executed acceptance is going to be coming over in the next hour. She gave me a head start because that gave my team the opportunity to upload everything and put the buyers in a position to lock. Because if I don't, we only have until around 6:30 p.m. Hawaii time to lock. So if she didn't give me that heads up, I may not have prepped it, and then we wouldn't have been able to do it till the next day. And you know what? The rates did go up between the day we locked and the next day. So, and that was the question of the buyers. They were like, well, thank you for working so quickly and getting us locked in. Just out of curiosity, is it better today? And it's such a funny thing, because
well, it's FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, or validating that I got a good interest rate. I feel like it's like when you buy stock, like a stock company, and you look at the stock market like every day. They tell you, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because you just, oh, I should have bought here, I should have sold here, they're like all over the place. Yeah. You should just, once you lock, stop looking, right? Is that your advice? Once you lock, stop looking?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But it did get worse.
Yeah. So loan locks, but explain to people again, can you be in this process and not lock and then just wait to the very end?
Yes. So we do have people, I do work with people that, that are experienced, and they say, well, I read this or I read that, and so I want to float. And so you can get an accepted offer. We can submit your loan, get your conditional loan approval. You can be working on all other aspects of the purchase contract, all those contingencies, and then get all the way up to, I would say, 10 days before we're going to close, and then we have to lock. But if you think that you know something and that rates are going to get better, absolutely you can float. Our recommendation, and we have access to about 4 different economic reports that are advice on what's happening in the markets, big picture, all the way down to the minutia. And they always give a lock recommendation, like we recommend locking or we recommend floating. And so we do read those every single day, and that is helpful information for our buyers. And we have been in a recommended lock position for the past month. So rates are upward trending. They are. So if you're not locked, you are gambling. You are.
Indications are higher probability it's going to go up if you wait. Yeah.
Yes.
And so looking at those reports. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have had a couple cases where one of our, I think he's worked with us like 6 or 7 times, but he's a super interesting commercial loan officer, but he's bought a lot of residential property, and we are his lender. And he's like, no, I want to float. I want to float. I said, I don't think you should float. And he says, I want to float. I think it's going to get better. Let's give it a couple weeks. So every day we kind of touched base, and between the day he got accepted and he didn't wait the full 2 weeks. He waited a week and a half, but he was an eighth higher in rate and almost a point higher in closing costs. So
it went up. Was not good
it
to
went
wait.
up. Yeah. And he was like, oh, dang, okay, let's get locked in as soon as possible. And then he's like, did you lock it? I said, yes, we're locking today. You're going to be locked in. Don't worry. But, that happens.
It's like at Vegas and the dealer's showing an ace up top, and you're like, oh, should I get the insurance? Should I not? Should I, and you're like, I'm not going to get the insurance. And you're all in with a high hand. Boom, gone. There went the money. Oh, I should have got the insurance. So it's risk aversion. You're providing information. Again, you guys are on a daily basis looking at 4 different economic reports, advising them should they do a loan lock or not. So how long do loan locks last for?
So that is a conversation and that's a great question. And that's a conversation that we have with them. So we will talk to our buyers about the purchase contract. So we will say, okay, your contract close of escrow, it's a 30-day close, but there is a 15-day unilateral extension. And so I can lock you on a 30-day lock, which is going to be slightly better than a 45-day lock. But what if the seller, who it's within their right and it's within your right, it's a unilateral extension. Anyone can use it for any reason. So if seller has to use it and we're only doing a 30-day, there's going to be additional costs incurred. And so that is a conversation that I have with them. I explain to them, this will actually take you through the unilateral extension. And, oftentimes the really attention to detail ones will say, but there's a high chance we're not going to need that. And so again, that is a decision, and that is education and a conversation that has to be had. Listen, if you want to, and you feel confident that the seller has said they're probably not going to need it, and you feel confident you're not going to need it, and I'm telling you that we can close in 30 days, we can do the 30-day. Eyes wide open, full disclosure, as long as you know that if for whatever reason we have to go over, there will be a lock extension fee incurred if we go over.
There's a cost to extend. The other thing I want to point out to people again, and double check with your broker and read your purchase contracts, but the unilateral right to extend, if let's say it's 10 days, a strategy that you can do as a buyer is you can just, to eliminate the other 9 days, extend for 1 day. Extend for 1 day. So once you use it, they kind of come back and say, okay, then I'm going to extend and I want the other 9 days. So if you want to cut off that 10-day extension, extend for 1 day. Again, double check with your BICs, your principal brokers, and go get advice and read the contract. But that's my understanding of the strategy to use as a countermeasure to not be like, oh, we got to close already, we're going to extend, we're going to have to pay more money. So interest rates, your prediction, again, is it's up or down?
Yeah, it's up. It's up. They're going up. And they're still historically low. I can still say that they are near the historical low. It's still an amazing interest rate. When I started this company in 2005, we were doing 6 and 7%. So it's still very, very low cost of the loan.
Cheap money still. And you know what? Here's an interesting. I looked it up because we did a speech. I had to speak on this topic of give an economic report for residential real estate at the CCIM conference a couple of years ago, and I looked it up. This was the interest rates in 1983 when I was 10th grade. I was in 10th grade up at Kamehameha schools, going, I wonder what the interest rates are on buying. No, I wasn't. I was in 10th grade. I didn't care. I was like, what's going to happen? Who's going to be playing the hot songs at the dance this weekend? But 1983, about 18%. Don't quote me on that, but they were pretty high back in the 80s. So when you guys are all freaking out because it's like 2.25% versus 2.5% or 3 or 4, is still looking pretty good compared to the 80s. Um, we like to do these kind of like a TED Talk. We're coming up on 19 minutes, 56 seconds. Keep them, hit them high, hit them low, give them short pieces of information. Any question or anything that you wanted to talk about before we bring it to a close?
I guess I would want to leave with the understanding or the tip of being prepared and finding a lender that you trust and that you can communicate with, and knowing that you're going to get the loan that you're being told you're going to get. And some of the ways that you can do that, and it's going to be helpful for any lender, is that you have your documentation and you have it ready and you provide it. And that's going to be pay stubs, W-2s, the actual federal tax return, all pages and schedules, and bank statements.
Yeah.
We need these documentations in order to really firmly say that you are fully pre-approved. I am saying that you are pre-approved, that you're going to get this loan. And there's no way for me to confidently say that if I don't have your bank statements and I don't know where your money's coming from. So I had a good friend, ask me the other day. She's working with me, obviously. She's my friend, but she says, "Do you really need my bank statements? Like, are you serious, Jodie?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really need your bank statements because I need to know where the money's coming from, and I do a 60-day look back. So if you have a large deposit that you're thinking is no big deal because it came in February, and you're thinking, well, that's no big deal because it's been in there and I have the money, right? But actually it came from dad, that matters. And those are the things that we want to tackle before you have an accepted offer. Because if not, and if dad says, oh, no, I'm not signing anything, then we have a problem. And now I've said that we're not going to have any problems, and now we have a problem. So that's why we need documentation. And some people, and I know I get it because life is busy. So it's like, oh, I didn't get a chance to download it, or I didn't get a chance to go to the bank and get it. But your lender needs your documentation.
Well, and I'm telling people, hello, you're buying a townhome or a home, making the biggest financial decision of your life. How are you showing up, folks? If you're not taking that seriously, what are you doing in the rest of your life? And maybe you need to go to some counseling instead of going into the home buying process, and take a look again at how you're showing up. So again, give them the documents again, bank statements. What else?
2 months of bank statements, because we do a 60-day look back. 2 most recent pay stubs. 2 years W-2s. So at this point, it would be 2020 and 2019, the W-2 form, and 2020 and 2019 federal tax returns, all pages and all schedules. So the two common things that we get is someone will just give me the first page of their tax return. And then they'll be like, well, and you don't need my W-2s because all the information from the W-2 is in the tax return. But we do need the W-2, and we need the tax return, all pages, and we need the bank statements, all pages, for 2 months.
If I'm telling folks right now, if you're working with people in any facet of the home buying process that are cutting corners, you might as well just stay home already, because there is no room for cutting corners right now with how quickly this market is moving. I'll leave you guys with a quote from Attilio Leonardi: "You either got to giddy up or get out." That's it. If I was in Texas, it'd be a good quote too: giddy up or get out. You got to be ready to go, gadget. That's it. So Jodie, thanks so much for being on our Friday Live. If you guys want to get more information, you can give Jodie a call at the number here, or if you're an introvert and you like to talk to anybody, you can go check her out on the internet, packrimmtg.com. Thank you so much, Jodie. Stay with us as we say aloha.